everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. And today I'm very excited. We are doing our annual tradition. I think I've been doing it since like 2015. It's been a long time.
Whoa.
Every year, been giving my preview for the upcoming year in animation. And we go through and a lot of it we don't know that much about, but we talk about what we do know and our excitement level for the project. And I'm very excited because I have with me my friend Darin is here. And thank you so much, Darin, for coming on.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I know we've done like talking Disney and been on like Stanford's podcast, but like just you and me, I think we've been
Yeah.
building this up for a long time, like trying to find something that's not rushed and worth it, I guess. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
I've been a fan of yours. I don't know, 2015 or whatever, like for as long as I can remember. So, yeah,
It's
this
just
is,
crazy. I've been doing this long. It's unbelievable that
yeah.
that it'll be 2024 will be 10 years that I've been since I
Wow.
started writing reviews.
Yeah.
It's like since I started as a critic because I tore MCL in my knee in
Yeah.
2014. And up until that point, I had done like a few every now and then on my personal blog, but never had taken it real seriously. And then I just needed something to do. And I'd always wanted to review the Disney canon. And so that's when I started. My site was originally called 54 Disney Reviews because that was
Yeah.
all I was going to do. I was just going to review the 54 films at the time, and that was it. And I was going to be done. It was just a project to keep me busy while I was recovering, and I really enjoyed it so much. And then it all, everything just kind of evolved from there. So
Right. Right.
it's pretty crazy.
It's
10
become a
years.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration. I've told you that many times before. So just the positivity and yeah, just trying to give you my resume and appear on Talking Disney. Like it took a while, but we we finally got there. So
we
yeah,
had
it's
a we
always an
had
honor.
a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And it's going to be a very interesting year for animation 2024 because we don't have a Disney animated studios film. We don't have an original Pixar. We have a sequel Pixar, but a
Yeah.
lot of the ones that we kind of count on aren't coming. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see who kind of steps up to the
Right.
plate,
Yeah. Who'll
for
be the
the season, I
breakout,
think.
like unexpected kind of hit or
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it could end up being kind of like a 2011, which is when Rango ended up winning that year
Right.
for Best Anime Feature. And even though I'm not like the biggest fan of that movie, it still is like a very unique year.
Yeah.
And that was Kung Fu Panda 2 was also that year. And we have a Kung Fu Panda movie this year, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's interesting. Uh, but yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive in. If people haven't heard one of these preview episodes, we will go over. I have an article with 30 animated movies coming in 2024 from Animation Magazine. And I'm not necessarily going to cover all of them because some of them are obscure animes that I just don't know like anything about at all.
Right.
But we'll cover most of them, and we will give an excitement rating, 1 to 4 stars.
Okay.
And so, what you want to do if you are listening is also give us your stars. What are you most excited for? In the comments, we would love to hear that. And make sure you check out also my 2023 video that I did with Animat, Matt Burnett, where we went through all of the releases, big and small, from 2023, and that was really fun. So, all right. The first one that is on their list, and they don't have a release date for this one, but it's The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Hmm.
And it says Daffy Duck and Porky Pig join forces to save the world from aliens in this first 2D animated Looney Tunes movie made for the big screen. And there have been Looney Tunes movies made for the big screen, but most of them were like anthology kind of a things. Like there
Right.
was the Bugs Bunny movie, for instance, that was a collection of
Right.
shorts. So I guess they're not including that.
Right.
And I guess they're not including like Back into Action because it has some live action
Right.
or Space Jam. But yeah, it's the director is Peter Braungart, who did some of the latest Looney Tunes cartoons, which I
Hmm.
loved on
Yeah.
HBO Max. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, we talked. I think what like the Bugs Bunny, like Looney. I'm getting that right. Looney, Bugs Bunny, something like that. So they had like a bunch of like the compilations, and they would like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they'd edit the cartoons like these Oscar-winning shorts. They'd cut stuff out to make stuff fit, or have like a wraparound story for them. And so there are always these cheap kind of cash grab things.
That's true.
I was
They have like
excited.
the interstitials, kind of like
Yeah,
Fantasia 2000.
right, which kind of lessen their impact or lessen the
Mm,
innovation of it, right? So I was
that's
excited.
true.
Like looking this up, I really like those Looney Tunes cartoons that
Yeah, I
they've
did
just
too.
redone, right? And so yeah, it was exciting for me to look at this, but also kind of a downer because of how they just canceled what like the Zaslav stuff that's going on. They shelved one of their hybrid movies
The
that's coming up.
Yeah, the
Acme.
Acme versus Coyote thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd be nervous if I were the people, making this
Yeah.
movie, but it's still those the cartoon shorts that they have are kind of the closest they've come to those original classics, and
Yeah.
so I like that it's an adaptation of those. So I'm excited for that. Supposing it gets released, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just on the surface, you're going to tell me a 2D animated Looney Tunes movie. I'm going to be real excited. I
Yeah,
love Looney Tunes.
right. You and
Yeah,
I
some of
grow up
that.
on those, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and
Yeah.
some of the Warner Brothers stuff does make me a little nervous,
Mhm.
but I have to give a pretty high score. I mean, I would love nothing more to next at the end of the year to be talking about the amazing Looney Tunes
Right.
2D animated that we got this year. I mean, that sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 4.
Okay.
But I'm pretty psyched about it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really excited to see what they're adapting it from. I'd probably give it about a 3 on my excitement level, just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still really nervous about what's going on over there over WP.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to like totally get my hopes up and then just have this thing disappear, which is it's sad that it's really sad and weird that we're worried about that kind of stuff. That movies
yeah,
can just be shelved for tax write-offs or whatever they're doing. I don't know. So yeah, I don't want to get too excited, but yeah, I read that. Like I said, I was like,
yeah.
wow, this would be great. So
So these 30 are in alphabetical order, just so people know. I didn't
yeah.
realize that's so. Next we have Despicable Me 4. And this is Evil Mastermind Gru and the Adorable Minions are back for another installment in the popular franchise. And got all your voices, and directed by Chris Renaud, Patrick Delage. And this comes out July 3rd. Uh, what are your feelings on Despicable Me?
Well, I don't know if I've said this on Twitter or to you, but I'm not a huge Illumination fan. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's just something about the animation, except for Despicable Me, which I think I don't mind
the
the
first
animation
one.
there and it works. But virtually everything else is like, there's just something that's off-putting. I don't know what it is. It's just a personal thing. There's nothing
Yeah,
against the work. It's just, Secret Life of Pets or anything like that. There's just something about the way those characters, and you can tell it's an Illumination project. So I don't know.
yeah.
I've just never been huge on those. Besides the Despicable Me, which I think are really sweet and
The
funny.
first one,
Yeah,
Despicable Me.
yeah, and I like the second one and the third one. Lesser kind of I guess returns there, but I don't mind those at all. I like those better than just the Minions movies. You know what I mean? So as far as an
Mm-hmm.
excitement level, maybe I don't know, like a two. They're gonna come out whether we want them to or not. But I'm not
Yeah.
against the idea of another Despicable Me because I like all the characters in that world. So someday I'll get around to
Yeah.
it.
I actually kind of enjoyed the most recent Minions movie, Minions 2. Shocking. I actually gave
Yeah.
it a fresh score.
Right. Right.
But part of it was I think they're the Minions at their best when they are sort of leaning into the silent comedy kind of energy.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I can enjoy it more than when they're actively trying to be funny. I don't
Mhm.
know if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
when like the first Minions movie I absolutely hated. I thought it was terrible in like the lewd humor,
Yeah.
the inappropriate jokes. I just not for me. And also just jokes that didn't even go anywhere, like the
Yeah.
whole villain con part of it, just like what? They just did nothing with it and it was terrible. I don't need to see the Minions in a thong,
Yeah.
like that's not funny to me.
Right.
And so I was shocked that the second one actually, particularly to me, the scene where the minions are flying plane, I
Hmm.
thought that was really good. Very, very, very funny. And well animated. And so, but for the most part, I'm not a huge fan of this franchise, and I
Yeah, yeah.
really didn't like the third Despicable Me movie. I didn't like what was his name? Stu, the evil
The twin.
brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever his name was. I hated him. He was very annoying. And so yeah, I'm gonna give this a two.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get lucky and maybe
Maybe it'll work,
I'll
right?
like it as much as Minions 2. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, it's weird to say that. Well, I don't mind that this thing exists. I mean, that's the that's the highest praise we can give it. Then hope for the best. Like it's other than some
Yeah.
other movies that were kind of from the outset of them being announced, you're like, oh no, like oh boy. So
Well, and I maybe it just helped that I'd seen that trailer for Minions 2 like a million times because it kept getting delayed because of COVID.
yeah, yeah,
So like at the time it was like just show me the darn thing,
right.
please. I've been seeing it for about like 4 years.
Yeah, lowered
Uh
expectations. I bet had something to do with
yeah.
that. What you thought of it
So
too. So
okay. Then we have a movie. This I'm interested in this actually a little bit. It's called Dragon Keeper, and
mm-hmm.
it's directed by Salvador Simo, who did Buñuel in The Labyrinth of the Turtles. And
Yeah,
that's the reason why I am interested, because I have seen that and I did enjoy it. This
okay,
Spanish Chinese co produced film centers on an orphan slave girl in ancient China named Ping, who befriends one of the last imperial dragons, with the voices Bill Nighy and other people. So it doesn't have a release date, but I think the picture that they have in this article looks pretty. And
yeah.
I'm not normally usually a big fantasy person, dragons and stuff like that, but I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these, like when you told me you wanted to do this, like, oh, okay. So I started going through a bunch of these and just checking out what was coming because I'm not like totally into like releases, like what's coming out. I just,
Yeah.
if something looks interesting, I'll check it out, but I don't know what's coming out like November 24th of next year, that kind of thing. Right. I'm not quite like
Well,
as,
some of them, like this one, we don't know yet.
yeah, we don't know yet, but I'm
We
not
don't
quite as
know yet.
versed in that. But reading through this, obviously, I'm half Chinese, and so
Mm.
reading through it, like having it be like a Chinese story, and I'm always excited for those. I know we've talked about like Mulan, which
Oh,
is
you're right.
fine,
Yeah.
but it doesn't quite. It kind of relies too much on the stereotypes for me.
Sure.
Like it
Sure.
doesn't like the Kung Fu Pandas of all things teach me more about Asian culture than Mulan did. Mulan was kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
hodgepodge of Japanese and Korean, just trying to throw everything in. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's Raya the Last Dragon, which I like too, but I was kind of like the Aquafina Dragon. It's like, do these characters always have to talk like funny stereotypes? Like,
Right.
can't they sound not like authentic, like you don't understand them, that kind of thing? But it's like I
Mm-hmm.
want some gravitas to these people instead of them just sounding like Marvel characters.
Yeah.
And so, but looking at this, and you're right, like the picture, I'm like, I have hopes. I mean, this looks gorgeous, and I always have hopes for something like this that it can teach me something and take me to, teach me something about that culture that I'm so interested in.
Yeah. And this Salvador Simo, he directed Buñuel in The Labyrinth of the Turtles, which was a 2D sketch, style
Mm.
animated film about the this director Buñuel and Louis Buñuel,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which if you're a Midnight in Paris fan, he Buñuel is in that movie, and he's I forget. Um, anyway, he's in that one of the people in that movie.
Yeah.
But
Famous.
yeah. But it's kind of interesting because Buñuel is 2D, and it's not for adults. There's nothing like improper about it, but it's just in the sense of like it might be a little boring for kids,
Mm-hmm.
might be a little, adult in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's a very good movie. And so to see him doing this Chinese story in CG about a little girl, it just seems so different than Moonwell. But I liked that one, and so it just makes me curious, to see kind of what he's gonna do
Right.
here. So
Yeah.
so I would give this a 3. I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably give it a 3 or 3.5. It's like again,
Yeah.
it seems like my cup of tea. So
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
We have fixed, and I feel like I've been previewing this for like 3 years. It is just always talked about, never comes out.
Yeah. This is the Genndy Tartakovsky project, right?
It's when our canine hero Bull realizes that he's going to be neutered the following morning, his friends treat him to one last day of fun before his operation. Animation icon Genndy Tartakovsky directs this R-rated 2D animated comedy. It has Idris Elba, Catherine Hahn, Fred Armisen. And it doesn't have a release date. Again, I feel like I've previewed this like 3 times. It just seems like that movie that's just always talked about, never actually comes out.
Right.
But so this is just not really my thing. It's kind of giving me nightmares of Strays again.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you, is that factoring into what you think of this movie? Because I know how much you hated that one.
I love Genndy, and I'm not opposed to R-rated animation, but it's just not for me. I give it a 1.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'd probably, again, the Genndy thing. I'm a big Samurai Jack fan, so I'm always into that. Even his Hotel Transylvania's, I think, really worked to a certain point. But yeah, I'm not really big on the R-rated cartoons. It's not really my thing. Again, I'm more of a name type person. I'm more interested for that. But I'm probably with you. I'll probably give it about a 2.
Yeah. All right. So then we have the Garfield movie, directed by Mark Dindal, which I'm so happy that he's back, because Mark Dindal, he got all the blame for Chicken Little, and I don't think it was really completely fair, and I'm glad that he's getting another chance, because Cats Don't Dance and Emperor's New Groove, and he's very talented, and so yay, I'm glad for him. But this he's directing this CG animated pick based on Jim Davis's lazy lasagna loving tabby cat. Chris Pratt voices the feline hero alongside Samuel Jackson, Nicholas Hoult, Cecily Strong, Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein. The list goes on and on. So this is a Sony release, and it's on the 24th of May. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer. I'm a Garfield fan. I'm also, I didn't realize that Dindal did Chicken Little. I know that when we talking Disney, like Oliver and Company was my lowest, but watching Chicken Little again, I'm like, that's bottom of the barrel stuff. I know that I don't blame him, because it was Disney trying to find itself. You know how they always do that, and they slip up. And so I think the problem with Chicken Little was it was too much of like DreamWorks. They were trying to do that with all the needle drops and the pop.
They were definitely trying to have their Shrek, and then also trying to be Pixar, and also trying to be Disney, and all of it all together. And it just, especially, you could feel the depression in the studio at the time.
Yes.
If you read Creativity Incorporated, with what they talk about, what Ed Catmull talks about, the how depressed everybody was, and nobody wanted to say anything, and nobody wanted to critique anybody, and everything like that when they came in. It wasn't a time where creative voices felt they could really be heard.
Right.
And so all of that you could feel. And so, I really don't blame him for the failure of Chicken Little, but he hasn't really made a movie since. So you got to believe that he was kind of held responsible for it.
Yeah,
and
sad,
so I'm happy to have him back, and happy to at least back directing, and because I love Cats Don't Dance and I love Emperor's New Groove. So that I'm very excited to see what he can offer again.
Yeah, Emperor's New Groove gets you a lot of free passes, like
Yeah.
doing that one. So we all are very familiar with the backstory behind that, and again, Emperor's New Groove. I don't know, like talking about it recently, if they'd gone the Kingdom of the Sun route, I don't know if Emperor's New Groove, what would that have been? Would it have made as much of an impact as Emperor's New Groove? Because I loved that change up. I loved how funny it was, and it felt like its very own thing. Whereas Chicken Little was trying to be something or
Right.
copy something instead of, you know, being in the spirit of a Looney Tunes-esque kind of cartoon. I think that's what
Yeah.
made Emperor's New Groove
Well,
so.
yeah, because Emperor's New Groove, it started out as what's like the Valley of the Sun or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think pretty much once they made the changeover and was it Roger Hunt? Anyway, the people that were in
Roger Allers. Yeah, he was the
the
director.
people they fired the original directors, then they have Mark Dindal on. I think from the point that all this sort of everything was abandoned and the new movie was started, I think it was actually fairly kind of cohesive from that point. It was just fast.
Yeah.
And in the fact that they were able to just sort of pivot, but that's not unheard of when it comes to animated films. I mean, we kind of we know the backstory. I think partly because there was this documentary made about the Emperor's New Groove,
Yeah.
but it was the same way with Frozen. I mean, they were going a certain way, and then once they wrote Let It Go, then it was like, well, we've got this song where she all of a sudden isn't the villain anymore. Oh, we've got to rewrite everything. We got to change everything, and the whole movie got completely basically redone. It happens all the time in animated films. And so anyway, long and short of it is Mark Dindal's a talented man. He's a good director. And so I'm happy to see him back directing because he hasn't done anything since Chicken Little, which is just a shame. Anyway, with the Garfield movie, I actually liked the trailer. I like the aesthetic. I like the style of the animation. It kind of has that like Captain Underpants kind of Peanuts movie sort of flat aesthetic to the CG. I like that. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Chris Pratt." I was fine with it for Garfield. It was fine.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope it'll be fun.
Yeah, the Chris Pratt thing, that just I don't understand. Whatever. I think people are just mad that he's part of so many IPs, or whatever the deal
Like
is
I
with
could
Chris Pratt.
understand more with Mario Brothers because he's not Italian. I'm like, okay, fine. But I don't know. I think he's fine for Garfield. No problem there.
Yeah, and like I said, I hear names, so I hear Dindal attached to Garfield, and so yeah, like I'm in. That's fine. But
Yeah.
I know that our mutual friend Steven Anderson, he also did storyboards and kind of some story stuff for this, and he's excited about that. So that's fun.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so I don't know, like maybe a two. I mean, it's not like I don't need another Garfield, but it's another thing that I'm like, yeah, sure, like I'll check this out if it's I have faith in the people that did it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I think I'll actually give it a 3. I hope it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Then we have Giants of La Mancha. Alfonso, the 11-year-old heir of Don Quixote, and his 3 imaginary rabbit friends try to save their beloved town of La Mancha from a huge storm. And this is directed by Gonzalo Gutierrez, is the name. And this CG animation. It doesn't look great.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
I would probably give this one a 2.
Okay.
It looks like something that would go straight to streaming. Really.
Right. Well, no, again, I don't know anything about this, so nothing personal, but maybe a 1. It's like I saw this and like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like whatever. So
and
nothing.
Sometimes the CG international animation can be surprising. Like I really enjoyed Son of Bigfoot, and that looked terrible. And that ended up being actually good. So sometimes these ones can kind of surprise you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have Harold and the Purple Crayon. The popular children's book about a boy and his adventures with a magical crayon comes to life in a hybrid live action and animated movie, directed by Carlos Saidana, who did Ice Age and Rio, and Ferdinand, with Zachary Levi, Lil Howery and Zoe Deschanel. This is releasing on August the 2nd, and it's Sony.
I think I've seen these books. I think I've read them or
Yeah.
seen the photos of them. They're cute. I don't. I'd be curious to see what they like a hybrid. I have no idea what to expect from this. Is there even a
Yeah.
trailer or promotional photos
No,
of
I
this
don't think
movie?
yet because it's not till August.
Because though the drawings and the books are very simple, so I don't know like what the plan is for this. I mean, I guess it opens it up to a whole bunch of like possibilities as far as what it could look like. But yeah, so maybe a two. I mean, it's I like the look of the books, and I'd be interested to see how they adapt it. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that it's like, is there enough for a feature? I mean,
yeah,
it's just like Harold drawing. Like, I'm just like,
right.
where do you get a whole story? I don't know. So it'll come down to the screenplay because I
Yeah.
mean, uh, one of my favorite family films of the last, I don't know, 2 decades or whatever is Where the Wild Things Are. And that's
Okay.
also a very, very simple, story, but it's absolutely wonderful.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'll give it a 2, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so then we have The Imaginary. This is directed by Yoshiyuki Momose, and it's this much anticipated movie is based on A.F. Harold's novel about a young girl named Amanda who is coping with emotional loss and a world of invisible imaginary characters who are doomed to be destroyed when they're forgotten. So basically like imaginary friends, similar like Inside Out a little bit, it sounds like.
yeah.
Uh And I guess the reason why I am looking forward to this is Studio Punnock. This is their second release,
Okay.
and they were kind of the spin-off of Studio Ghibli that they had, and I enjoyed their first one, the Mary and the Witch. It was fun. It wasn't like amazing, but it was cute.
Right.
And there actually is a trailer for this, and I think it looks pretty good. I think
Okay.
it looks fun.
Well, looking at the, I'm sorry to watch a little more anime, but like again, Yoshiyuki Momose, is that how you pronounce his
Uh
name?
huh.
So looking at his history, like how he worked on Grave of the Fireflies, which is probably
Yeah.
the greatest anime I've ever seen. So he's worked on that. I mean, he's got Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away. Obviously, he worked with a Studio Ghibli quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that's something to uh, definitely look forward to. I'm open to new ideas and new ways of showing like animation and new you know the imagination that's in this that you can do just more than the fantasy stuff. You can do more dramas, or you can kind of mix those. I'm
Yeah.
loving the idea of the fantastical, the animation showing you a different kind of perspective than you're used to, or a different beauty
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of thing. So yeah, this story, being in the mood that I am lately about anime, it's like, yeah, this sounds like something that I'm gonna add to my list. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So uh like I said, for this one, I'd probably be like 3.5 or 4 even. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for this kind of
Yeah, I
storytelling.
mean, their first Studio Punnock's, their Mary and the Witch's Flower, I think is what it was called.
Okay.
It was a little bit derivative, was the problem. It
Mm-hmm.
was still, I liked it, but it did feel like derivative of a lot of kid and magic, Harry Potter-ish kind of things that we've seen so many times. And this does feel a little derivative. That's my
Okay.
only sort of concern. It's like, is this going to be Bing Bong? Oh, over again for these things. We've
Right.
already gotten that. We don't need it again.
Yeah.
But I'm still, yeah, I agree. 3.5. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued. Okay, so then we have for Netflix, we have In Your Dreams. This comedy adventures two very different brothers magically travel into the world of dreams to find the Sandman so he can save their parents' marriage.
Okay.
And this one, I don't know. It also feels pretty derivative.
Okay.
The world of dreams. Maybe, I don't know. They have had some really good stuff from Netflix.
Lately.
Uh
Yeah.
the Netflix animation. See, I'm looking at the team behind it. What else
I,
they've done?
yeah. I don't recognize a lot of these names.
Let's see here. No, that's not it. What do you think of that description? Is that exciting for you?
That could do anything.
Yeah,
Like you said, it
true.
could be derivative. It could be like open your mind and blow your mind to stuff. It's, doing the brother, what is it, brothers, like that dynamic that's been done before. So I don't know. And the promotional picture they show kind of reminds me of I don't know, like Legend of the Guardians kind of
It,
like animation.
it
I'm
looks
not quite
like
sure.
the director, Eric Benson, is this, I think, this is his first film,
Okay.
and he has worked for Cartoon Saloon and for Pixar.
Okay.
Is a uh, artist,
Okay.
so that's cool. It's always
Yeah.
fun when you see people get a chance.
Right.
Let's see, Alex Wu. Um, also, this is the first. Let's see, she's done some shorts,
Okay.
but that's it. So yeah, this is both of their first time directing. So that actually kind of makes me more excited,
Okay.
to see. But I'm gonna give it a 2.5. But we know so little, so it's hard to give it a score.
Yeah. Like I said, I give it a 2. I'm open to new ideas and new vision. So sure, like I'll give it a
Mm-hmm.
shot. Why not?
Yeah.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
Okay, then we have The Inseparables, adapted by Bob Barlin and our friend of the podcast, Cal Brunker. He's great. From an original idea by Toy Story writers Joel Cohen and Alec Sokolow. This CG family movie centers on a runaway puppet and an abandoned stuffed animal who cross paths in Central Park. So yeah, I mean, it's directed by Jeremy Jurgensen, who did Son of Bigfoot, which I love.
Right.
And so yeah, I'm actually, we don't know much. We just know it's a runaway puppet and an abandoned stuffed animal. So I can't give it much more than like 2.5. But
Right.
but all the team behind it is all great people.
Yeah, sorry to give so many 2s, but again, it's probably what I would give
It's
here.
hard because we don't know.
You said the 2 magical words, Toy Story, so that's
Yeah.
got my antenna quivering. Sure, and the photo looks like it could be in that vein. Toys trapped in Central
Good
Park.
writers.
Yeah, so why not? Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing negative, no bad feelings.
Then we have Inside Out 2, Pixar's 28th feature and the sequel to the Oscar-winning 2015 movie, follows the same young girl, Riley, who discovers new emotions ruling her world as she gets older. Directed by Kelsey Mann in his feature debut and penned by Meg LaFave and featuring the voices of Amy Poehler and everything. So this comes out on June 9th.
Yeah.
I have been pretty mixed on recent Pixar, I have to be honest. I didn't love Elemental last year.
Mm-hmm.
I've had mixed feelings about their last bunch, but I always will hold out hope. And there's rarely one that I like hate. I didn't hate Elemental; it just didn't all work for me.
Right.
The thing that makes me nervous about this, because I love Inside Out.
Yeah.
But we saw a lot of different kinds of people in Inside Out, including teenagers, and we never saw anxiety ever. We saw into a lot of different heads. None of those people had anxiety. Right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we even saw the in the pizza girl. Like, she was a teenager. We never saw any anxiety there. I mean, she was pretty chill, I guess, but still, we never saw anxiety in any of those heads. And so I feel like, okay, how are they going to try to explain that, or are they just not going to care? Which either way could work, depending on how it's done. I don't know. I'm just feeling nervous but I mean, I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
I love the first one so much, but what are you feeling?
Yeah, let's just do a 3 because I'm always there for Pixar. We could talk for an hour or two about Pixar, right?
Yeah.
What's weird, and I'll try to make this brief, but what's weird about Pixar is like from that first batch of movies, like everybody loved them. They were so universal, whether it was about
Yeah.
toys or bugs
Sure.
or fish or
Rightfully so. I mean, they were great.
superheroes. Yeah, I mean anything that what like I would walk out of one of those movies and feel like personally affected by it, but then everybody else seemed to be personally affected by it too for
Yeah.
different reasons. They just hit something. I'm not sure if it was just people tired of animation or Disney at the time, and Pixar was just like a new breath of fresh air.
Well,
but
I think a big part of it is how tight the brain trust was.
Yes.
And
they worked out the stories, right?
How careful they were about the stories. And it just seems like they've gotten sloppy. That's what makes me nervous about this anxiety thing.
Yeah.
That they weren't afraid to like hurt people's feelings or, make sure that the story was good. And I kind of worry now in the like quest for inclusivity and tolerance, which of course is good. We want people to be able to tell their stories, but I wonder sometimes if maybe they're a little afraid, to be as hard on people to get the stories right.
Yeah.
Because it's their stories, right? It's their personal stories. And so you have things like, for me, the mother in Turning Red just did not work at all. I thought she was just such a caricature, and so such a cliche and unreasonable. And so I kind of wonder if that's maybe part of it. I don't know. I'm not there, obviously. But I just feel like the storytelling has not been that strong. That their last whole bunch of movies have been pretty messy.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, there's a universality to these movies that was just unheard of. And I'm not sure what happened. Something happened where
bring back the brain trust,
yeah,
please.
When you're doing animation, and I'm pretty sure you agree with it here, before you even start production you need to make sure that you have the story just hammered out right. Because if you're halfway in and you realize, oh, something's not working, you have to scrap everything and start, like, that would be a nightmare, right? So that brain trust they've done that
many times though at Pixar, and you have to be willing to do it. I mean, they did it for the original Toy Story. Originally Woody was going to be even more of a stick in the mud than he was, and they completely rewrote that whole thing. Toy Story 2 was basically completely abandoned and finished in like because it was originally just going to be a made for direct to DVD thing, and they basically abandoned almost everything that they had and redid it in like a year. Like, if you read about it and get in Creativity Incorporated, like what they put those artists through will make what the Across the Spider-Verse people went through look like a dream. Which I'm not saying everybody should be treated well. I'm not saying that, but it just, they've done that many times where they have like if something's not working, you got to make it work.
To turn Toy Story 2 in a year into something, into what it turned out to be, which is, it might be one of my top 2 Pixar movies. That's incredible.
It's amazing.
But like I was saying, something happened where they stopped being universal. I'm not sure if it's the story or whatever, and they just started appealing to certain people. Like, you have Turning Red and Luca and Soul, and like everybody has a different reaction to those. Like, the only one I really acted to at all was Soul, just because I was at a point in my life where I was just tired of things, and it taught me a very profound message about just be happy with what you have and find the joys and things. And it changed my life since. But again, you don't walk out of Soul and Turning Red and Luca and everybody's in love with them. Like, people seem angry and like they're fighting about them, and I just didn't
like they turned into a cat. That whole part, once that movie lost me for that section, and then it kind of got me back again.
But that rarely happened in the original Pixar movies. Like, they had you from the beginning. You're right. So I don't know. And my thing with Inside Out was when I heard they made it, I love Inside Out because of how personal it is. Like, in the midst of all the sequels and the designs of it, I know Doctor, like, he was fascinated by what his daughter was going through, and so he did all this psychological research into this, and just the idea of like the designs, like of the human brain and the emotion, the whole thing is just so gorgeously rendered.
When she says, done. I miss home. Oh
yeah. It's so personal. And so to make a sequel to something like that is weird. It's
Yeah.
weird to me. Like, why would you want to, I don't know, what's the word, Hollywoodize something that's so
Yeah, it
personal?
feels, it
It's
does. It
weird.
feels like, oh, you're only doing it because the first one was successful.
Yeah, but I'll give it a shot. Like I've been doubting Pixar before, and they've come back like firing on all cylinders. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't have as much faith in them as I used to.
But don't you agree that it's weird that there was no anxiety in any of the
Yeah.
characters? Yeah. What?
Why was that? I mean, there might have been. I'm pretty sure we can research because Doctor picked a specific amount of emotions that he
Yeah, and I
wanted,
feel
and
like
so
there's not
story
that
wise,
big a difference between fear and anxiety. She already
yeah,
has fear. So why
right.
do we like that's basically anxiety is fear.
Yeah, it's not just you don't hit a certain age and then you hit anxiety. That's interesting. That's an interesting
Yeah.
thought. So yeah,
So
interested to
anyway.
see how they
So what will you give it?
let's do 2.5. I'm
Two
just
now.
it's Pixar, but I'm not up on the idea of them doing a sequel to something that was so meaningful.
Yeah.
I don't want to cheapen it.
All right. So then we have Kung Fu Panda 4. And Mike Mitchell and Stephanie Stein direct this fourth cinematic adventure of a lovable hero, Poe, voiced by Jack Black, which finds him facing a sinister and powerful adversary called the Chameleon, while also trying to find someone to replace him as Dragon Warrior. And this got all your team back. What do you think about Kung Fu Panda 4?
I've liked all of them. Like the first one was just the first one is because we talked about it with Stanford. I think we did a DreamWorks ranking, and Kung Fu Panda is up there. It's in my top 5 or top 4. And again, Chinese. I love the idea and the designs and the culture and all that, and the way that the Furious Five were tied in with Poe, like thematically, they're all after the same thing. Just wonderfully written stuff. And then the second one, even though I liked it a lot, the Furious Five took a back seat and it was more Poe stuff. So they, even though I like the action scenes and how they integrated Poe into their fighting style, the Furious Five are more of a supporting team. The third one even more
That's
because
true.
they disappear halfway into it because of
that's true.
the J.K. Simmons character. But there's still so much heart to these movies. I can't describe how much I adore the heart of these. I'm just kind of down that. I mean, you didn't see the Furious Five in the trailer. And then when you read about the production, I think they're saying that the Furious Five hardly even show up. Like, you know that they're around, but they're not part of the story. So that's the only thing that I'm really down on. But the series really hasn't disappointed me yet. So I always come out going, yeah, the heart is what I really like. So I'd probably give it a 3. I know that sounds maybe harsh as much like the other ones, but I don't know. Like, is it going to be even more diluted than it has before? When are you going to stop making these and get to the point where it trivializes it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I also enjoyed all 3 so far. I was kind of hoping that the trailer you'd see glimpses of sort of what we saw with Last Wish, which I thought was just absolutely amazing. The incredible action and the animation. And I'm not seeing that in this, but I'm kind of hopeful that we will see it. And you're right, there's none of the Furious Five in the trailer. They are in the voice cast, so I get, there, I guess.
Right. Well, I'm wondering if this description that we're reading just assumed that they were going to be part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they were. So I don't know. Like but like I said, I'm more than willing to do a Kung Fu Panda movie. I'm just kind of well.
I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to be optimistic. This is March 29th. I think this is the first animated film to come out of 2024, which is kind of wild.
Really?
As far as a major release.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah. Okay, so then we have what did you give it?
Oh, the excitement level for
4.
that? A 3.
3. Okay. So then we have the Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. The new animated adaptation of Tolkien's epic is set 183 years before the events of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Stars Brian Cox as Helm Hammerhand, the legendary king of Rohan, who must battle an army of Dunlendigs.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So this doesn't come out until December 13th. This is Warner Brothers New Line Cinema. Like The Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy is kind of a unique thing for me. I normally don't love high fantasy. That's just not my jam.
Yeah.
Usually I find it very boring. I haven't liked anything else in the Lord of the Rings world except for those three. I didn't like the Hobbit movies. I didn't like. I started watching this new latest series on Amazon. It was not for me. So this isn't for me, but it could be good. I don't know.
Could be. Well, I know that Lord of the Rings started out like, I know Ralph Bakshi was
Yeah.
the first one to tackle these, and those were weird. But
Yeah.
anyway,
They're weird.
but yeah, like the trilogy that we're talking about was so literary and so rich, and so I love those. But I think the problem was as soon as Return of the like halfway through the Return of the King, I think I was done. I was like, okay, again, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Like this is and it built to a great
Well,
climax,
yeah,
right?
because they have there's a clear moral weight to everything that was missing in
Absolutely.
the Hobbit movies and
Yeah.
whatever this series was.
Yeah.
That you have to destroy the ring, and that gives everything meaning that there's this evil they're fighting against, as opposed to just kind of like swords and
Yeah. Yeah.
fighting.
Still great. I don't knock that trilogy at all. Like watching Return of the King again, like years after, like it's
It's
great.
great.
It's powerful, right? But the Hobbits, that's the definition of a cash grab. First of all, that they take a kid's book and they split it into not one, not two, but three different books, just to kind everything about it is that cynicism of trying to
And
match that first Lord of
there's
the
no
Rings.
moral weight. It's just a series of
Yeah.
adventures. There's
Yeah.
nothing
What's keeping me watching these?
Yeah, nothing.
So yeah, and like I said, it started off animation. I'm not against anything. I try not to go. I'm never watching that unless it's a live action Disney remake kind of thing, which we might be talking about and anyway, in a little bit. But like, I don't know. This is nothing personal against these makers either. But I'm gonna my excitement level for this is like at a 1. Like I'm done with Lord of the Rings. I've got what I needed out of it. I couldn't even finish, like I said, that first Hobbit movie. So why would I want to watch like more of this? So yeah, I mean, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
anymore.
I agree. Maybe too, just because it could be pretty, the
Yeah.
animation. I don't know.
There's always a chance for it to
Not
be
much. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Okay, then we have The Magnificent Life of Marcel Pagnon. This is acclaimed director Sylvain Chomet, did The Triplets of Beauville. Much anticipated new movie is set in 1955 and follows the life and adventures of celebrated French writer, playwright, filmmaker Marcel Pagnon. And I am really excited about this movie. I love, and I've reviewed on this channel, there's 2 movies that are made about Marcel Pagnon's life, his childhood. One, My Mother's Castle, and My Father's Glory. They are wonderful films, both of those. That's about his childhood. I think this is about him older, Marcel Pagnon, but I mean, Triplets of Belleville is incredible. So I mean, that's enough. I think I would give this the full 4.
Right, I'm with you.
It's 2D animation. It looks beautiful.
It does.
I mean,
Triplets of Belleville is such a, like, no matter what you think of the movie itself, like that animation is like burned into my brain. Like I was watching clips of it again before we started recording. I'm like, yeah, that's quite a movie. Like, but then you try to imagine all those designs in like live action and how ugly and off-putting that would be. And I think that's one of the things that's great about animation is you can capture different things and still make it like interesting to look at. He also did a movie, I think it was called The Illusionist, and it was like a Jacques Tati kind of story, and it had him as and I
don't love that
too.
as much as others, and I'm still a little bitter that it took Tangled spot at the Oscars. But it's lovely in many ways. There's no reason to not be excited about this.
Yeah, it's great. Again, a name is going to get me. Oh, sure, this guy, I'm there. Like, let's show me what you got, man. You know what I mean? So,
for real.
That's terrific. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. So next we have Mufasa the
There we
Lion
go.
King. After becoming king of the Pride Lands, Simba tries to teach his cub about the origins of his own late father, Mufasa, in the CG animated photorealistic musical drama, directed by Oscar winner Barry Jenkins and written by Jeff Nathanson with voices that we all know. This comes out December 20th. I don't think this is going to be the big hit that people just assume it is. None of the sequels for any of these live action remakes, whatever, this is not live action, but whatever, the remakes have, none of the sequels have done very well. They seem to be this flash in the pan. People just want to see what they grew up with recreated, and they're not, and then they forget about them instantly, and they're not really interested in more of that world. I mean, none of them have done well, so no. I don't see why this will do well. I don't know anybody who looks fondly on that remake of The Lion King. I mean, granted, I'm in kind of my animation lover cocoon, but even I feel like out of that, I still don't know anybody who even cares about that movie at all. And so the only thing about this that, I mean, I do like Barry Jenkins, and the fact that it's new music, I'm like, well, maybe. But I don't know. Give it maybe a generous 2, but really, these photorealistic animals just don't work in telling a story. So no, I'm giving it a 1.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So again, this is the one. Never mind what I said before. These Disney live are the definition of cynical. And you're looking at the Lion King remake, even though nobody likes it that I know, it made $1 billion, and that seems to be the only reason why they're doing if they like that, they'll like this. I really don't care. Like I only sat through the Circle of Life for that one. I'm like, I'm not watching this. This is good as like a technical reel that you want to show people what you're capable of, but making a whole movie out of these expressionless animals where the cartoon, we've talked about it before. You can go back and look. I do not like these. They are excruciating to watch because even a sequel I'm not interested in, because like you said, there's new music. It's not really going to tackle unless this is a remake of Simba's Pride or something like that. Like there's a chance, but
it's a prequel. I mean, I guess technically.
Yeah, we're doing that story, but every time I've tried to give one of these things a chance, it just doesn't work. I have so little time to watch the movies that I want to watch. Why would I watch this? Like, no. So
I don't think it'll do as well as they think it'll do, but that Christmas Corridor, it could maybe. I don't know what else is coming out then, but I don't know. Okay, so next we have
did you want my ranking on Mufasa? Can we do zeros? I think I'm gonna have to do a 0. I just don't care.
Okay.
No.
Or the next one is Orion and the Dark. Based on the book by Emma Yarlett, the movie centers on an anxious boy who is visited by his biggest fear, the dark, and is whisked away on a trip around the world to conquer his fears. With the voice of Werner Herzog, a screenplay by Charlie Kaufman.
Wow.
What? This is DreamWorks.
And Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah, Jacob Tremblay, Paul Walter Hauser. So Werner Herzog. It sounds pretty bonkers. It sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm for this. I heard Charlie Kaufman. I was like, what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's get this show on the road.
So I will give this, I don't know, I'll give it a 4. Okay. I've been pretty positive for the most part about DreamWorks, except for Trolls. And
Boss Baby.
Boss Baby.
Sure, let's do a 4 for this. I'm Charlie Kaufman. I'm all in. Let's see what you can do with animation, man. Yeah,
that is a lineup. Oh my gosh! Oh wow. Sure. Okay, so then we have Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. When Bikini Bottom is suddenly scooped out of the ocean, Sandy Cheeks and SpongeBob journey to Sandy's home state of Texas, where they meet Sandy's family in this 4th SpongeBob theatrical movie.
4. Wow.
4th, yeah.
Okay.
It's got all your expected voices. The only thing I wish about this is I wish it was the 2D. So much SpongeBob, not the CG SpongeBob. But it looks fine to me.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not a huge SpongeBob person, so again, nothing personal. This is probably at a 1 excitement level
Not
for me.
really.
I haven't seen the other
SpongeBob
3.
well enough. I'm not like a
Yeah,
fanboy or anything, but
right.
I think
Sure.
most of the movies have been pretty fun.
Okay.
I'll give it 2.5.
Okay.
2.5. But I wish it was the 2D. Okay, then we have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is directed by series regular Jeff Fowler, the third installment in the movie adventures of Sega's Speedy Blue Hero. Find the entire Donut family traveling to Egypt, where Sonic meets a pink hedgehog who claims to predict the future, while Robotnik returns from hell and awakens a new challenger, Shadow the Hedgehog. This comes out December 10th, so we know what Mufasa will be competing against.
Interesting. Okay.
And they should be concerned. At least I would if I were them. I've liked both of the Sonic movies. I thought they were both charming and I enjoyed them. So yeah, sign me up. I give it a 3.
Okay. Well, let's do a 2. I didn't mind the other 2. My kids really like them, and I know I'm going to end up seeing this one, so I don't want to like walk into it dragging my knuckles or my heels. So sure.
Yeah.
The other ones weren't terrible. James Marsden is in this too. Sure, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I thought they were cute. I liked them.
Not bad.
Okay, so then we have Spellbound, and this is directed by Vicky Jensen. The second Skydance animation feature follows young princess, voiced by Rachel Zegler, in the kingdom of Lumbria, who must break the spell that turned her parents into monsters. With the voices, we don't need to know the voices. So yes, I thought I heard that this moved away from Skydance. Let me see. What it was so Skydance left Apple, and now they're with Netflix. That's what it is.
Okay.
That just happened in October. In a shocking move, Skydance Animation has inked a multi-year agreement with Netflix to develop and produce animation features that will be released directly on Netflix.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, it sounds fun enough. I mean, it's like the kind of fantasy story that's not like my favorite, but it's got a talented team.
Well, Vicky Jensen did what, Shrek, right? She also did Shark Tale, which that that kind of drags it down. I know that Shrek made an impression. I'm looking at the Linda Wolverton wrote the screenplay, who wrote the screenplay for Beauty and the Beast, so that's something.
Oh yeah. She also did Maleficent.
Okay. Alan Menken, Glenn Slater. That'll be good. Like they haven't done.
Their songs, huh?
Yeah. So it seems like this is a good Disney competitor.
Got
I mean, the
Tangled team back.
Yeah, the story sounds fairly generic, but again, it's generic in a Disney way. Like it sounds very Disney. So sure. I mean,
but the animation, it doesn't look very Disney to me.
Okay.
At least
so
it
they're
could just
making
be
a stand.
concept art, but the image that they have here.
Okay.
So we'll see with a trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah. What would you give it?
I'm at a 3. I like the team behind it, so I'll give it a shot. I'm excited for that. Whatever you want to give me, people. I have faith in you. So.
Okay, then we have That Christmas. DreamWorks veteran Simon Otto directs this holiday feature based on the book series by Richard Curtis, who did like About Time and Love Actually and all that. It follows several entwined tales about love and loneliness, family and friends, and Santa Claus making a big mistake, as well as an enormous number of turkeys. This is Locksmith Animation. This is Netflix. I think it's the same team who, as far as the animation team who did Claus, that whole thing. I mean, come on, this is right up my alley for.
Yeah. Again, looking at Richard Curtis, like that'll be fun. That'll be at least written very well. So yeah. I don't know anything about the story or his books, but like I'm a fan of that. And what did Simon Otto direct How to Train Your Dragon? Was okay, or co-directed it anyway. So 3, sure. And like it's the names are the draw here for me.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have Thelma the Unicorn. When a pony's dream of becoming a glamorous superstar unicorn comes true, she learns that fame and fortune come with
a cost, and she longs for her simple, sparkle-free life back home. This is directed by Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite, and Lin Wang. And it's based on the Aaron Balabi, who did the Bad Guys popular book series. And this is Micros Animation, and it's also Netflix.
Okay. I don't know.
So
maybe a 2 for this. Yeah, sure. Why not? The Bad Guys. I know that we're both a big fan of that.
Yeah, we like that.
So it turned into a pretty good film.
Superstar Unicorn. I will give it a 3. I'll give it a shot. It looks fun.
Okay.
Okay. We're nearing there. Okay, so then we have The Tiger's Apprentice. A young Chinese American boy discovers he's part of a long lineage of magical protectors known as the Guardians, and he now must bring the strange zodiac animal warriors back together to fight evil forces in this adaptation of Lawrence Yep's trilogy. And so this is being released. This actually, I think, is released in February, but it's same day and date on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And so I don't know how big of a theater rollout it'll get. But this is just not really my thing. I could end up enjoying it, but I'm gonna give it a 2. But it's not really, like I said, this kind of high fantasy just isn't really my thing.
Well, sorry to keep bringing this up again, but it's got the Asian kind of connection, so sure. But all the promo pics and everything I've seen of this, it looks generic. Like the design of it looks pretty generic. So I would say maybe a 2. Like I'm there too. It's like I'm all for the idea of more culture, and obviously you got Michelle Yeoh and Lucy Liu and Sandra Oh, and Henry Golding. There's a good Asian kind of presence here. So yeah, I'm not as excited as I am for Dragon Keeper, but still, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Transformers 1. It's directed by Josh Cooley, who did Toy Story 4. The animated prequel set on Cybertron that revolves around the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron, with the voices of Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth, Keegan-Michael Key, who I swear it feels like he's in every animated film these days.
Right. Yeah.
John Hamm and Lawrence Fishburne. And this is on Paramount, and it's September 13th.
Okay. I don't know, a 1. I'm not really huge on Transformers anymore. I mean, a cartoon, great. Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson, okay.
I do like the original animated Transformers film from the 80s. So kind of if they could kind of tap into that a little bit, it could be interesting. Right. So I'll give it 2, but yeah, not much there.
I don't know if I want to see a story about how Optimus Prime and Megatron were friends. Like what? It's just not doesn't have any appeal for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so we have 2 more. One is Ultraman Rising. Shannon Tyndall and John Ashima direct this beautifully designed animated take on the popular Japanese sci-fi franchise. And there was last year, there was Ultraman movie in the theaters.
Right?
Yeah, Shin Ultraman. Japanese sci-fi franchise, which was first introduced in 1966. The movie follows the adventures of an alien race of superheroes who often combat kaiju and other aliens. And so yeah, it looks pretty cool. The pictures that they have,
that looks gorgeous.
Good. Yeah, right. So I'm gonna give that I don't know, like a 3.5.
Okay, I'll give it a 3. Just like we said, that photo they have there, that's gorgeous. Look at the colors on that. And Ultraman is something that I remember as a kid, and so I'm always gonna have my eyes widened looking at something like that. So yeah, I'll give it I would love to see something like this, especially Japanese animation in action, like an action kind of style. Like, sure, that looks exciting, actually.
Yeah. All right. I just lost our page. Okay. So the next one, and there's one more I want to add that I forgot that wasn't on here, but it's The Wild Robot. This is Chris Sanders, Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, directs this adaptation of Peter Brown's illustrated book about the bond between a castaway robot named Rosum 7134 and an orphan gosling named Bright Bill and their misfit animal friends on a deserted island. So this is DreamWorks, which DreamWorks, they're coming next year. That's 3 movies.
Right.
Wow. I mean, it sounds great to me.
Yeah,
especially with Chris Sanders, it's going to have heart.
Right.
Gonna,
I've seen or read a little bit about the books, and they sound fun. Like it's very visual the way that it's described.
yeah.
Just this robot that's just kind of lost on this island, just kind of makes a way of life. And so, with DreamWorks, we're never sure. It can either go the Last Wish way or it can go the Trolls way. It's weird as far as that studio goes, but I don't see this going the Trolls way. It looks like an actual like visual
Yeah.
kind of
It,
feast.
it really
So,
does. So I'm giving this full
right.
4.
Okay.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah, looks great.
So I just sent you the IMDb for
Oh,
one
okay.
more. This I actually already seen it. That's how I know.
Oh,
It's gonna get it's called Mars Express, and it's
okay.
getting a rollout in the early part of this year. It's G Kids, I think, that's releasing it. And it's sci-fi. It's acceptance of differences between robot and human. Human Aileen struggles with alcoholism, bearing the consciousness of a dead man partner, Carlos. He cannot rebuild the broken family his namesake left behind. So this is directed by Jeremy Perrin, and he's the writer. I absolutely loved this. The animation is amazing. It definitely, some people will say it's derivative. It has feelings of Ghost in the Shell. It has feelings of Akira. It has feelings of Blade Runner, all those things. But I think it's still enough of its own mystery that they're diving into to make it engaging and interesting. The animation is absolutely beautiful, and it's really cool because they made this documentary that you can watch along with it. That's that they've been tweeting out on social media and stuff.
Yeah,
because it's already released in France, and I watched it as part of Animation's Film Festival. And if I had been able to, if this was considered because it was not submitted for the Academy, so it'll be submitted next year.
Okay.
I mean, this year, as an animated film, I would have included it in my best of 2023. That's how much I liked it.
Okay.
And so anyway, I just wanted to mention it. I mean, I'll give it the full 4.
Okay.
But just when you hear that, I know that's quite the lead up, but something like that's a sci-fi with sort of some of those anime kind of inspirations. What do you think?
Well, on that recommendation, I'll give it a 4. You know what I think of your opinion, and so if you like this, then I'm in. Like I'd be really interested to see it. Again, what the link you just sent me, the animation stills that looks gorgeous. Like sure,
it's so beautiful. I really think people are gonna love it. I really do.
Awesome.
That's the only thing I'm worried about is people that will say, "Oh, it's just like Ghost in the Shell or Cure or whatever," which I don't know. Is anything really original anymore?
No.
It was original enough for me.
And people like The Matrix, which is all Ghost in the Shell. So those people can stuff it.
That's true. So there we go. We did it.
Yes.
We previewed all of the animated films, or at least most of them, for 2024. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you I'm glad we were finally able to find something to do together. This is great. Yeah.
So if people want to follow you guys, Nostalgia Cast and all that stuff, how do they do that?
The only place you can find me is on Twitter. So at DW Lundberg. Just speaking of which, we're in our 70s season right now. We just covered Robin Hood. We had an interview with Steven Anderson. We chatted about his career. We chatted about Robin Hood and the impact that had in the 70s. So we're having a lot of fun there. So yeah, please come over and check out. We're having some fun conversations. So
cool. Good. I'll have all that information in the description. You also check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you are following me over at Hallmarkies Podcast and all of my reviews. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews to both of our podcasts. We sure appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, which is such a great way to help. And we have the merch store. You can get #Animation Junkie shirts. And we also have I'm an Animation Girl shirts. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. And thanks to you, Darin. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
All right, bye.